This is real life. A core part of my middle school interactions with the internet, particularly YouTube, was my obsession with routine videos. The aesthetically pleasing put together clips of beauty gurus starting and ending their days had me in a chokehold. And I know I'm not the only one, because when I was doing research for this video, I found that routine videos, especially morning ones, were consistently in the top watched videos on almost every channel I looked at. There's something about that structure and consistency that we crave. But I think part of the reason that those videos were so popular, and there were so many of them, is that they didn't actually work. I'm not criticizing. The videos were entertaining, and I still love watching routine videos. I've even made a few of my own. But back in the day, I was not watching those videos just for entertainment. I was watching those videos because I wanted my mornings to look like their mornings. Not just aesthetically, although I won't say that wasn't part of the draw, but that feeling of starting your day in a productive, enthusiastic, inspired way. I am a big habit girl, big routine girl, and a very big believer that it is crucially important to invest in your routines. One of my favorite quotes is, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. What you do matters. What you do often is important. And what you do daily is a reflection of who you are. A little bit of background on me. I am a writer, content creator, and your personal hype girl. Almost 6 months ago, my husband and I, who had been married for all of 2 months at the time, moved from Vancouver, BC to Ottawa, Ontario. This was not a planned move. It was very spontaneous. And for any non-Canadians, this is a massive shift. This winter, I had to build my routines up from scratch. I feel like I've gone through another crash course on how to build healthy routines. So I wanted to make this video to help you do the same, because it's hard and I get it. And sticking to the commitments that you make to yourself matters. Okay, the first step to building habits that you're actually going to stick to this year may not apply to everyone, but if it does apply to you, you probably need to hear it. Stop watching routine videos. I know, I just admitted to my own obsession and to creating them myself. I don't think there's anything wrong with routine videos or with watching them. But if you're watching this video because you're looking to create systems that are life-giving, effective, and consistent in your life, watching video after video might be working against you. When you watch a morning routine video, even if it's from a channel that you watch all the time, you're missing so much context. Do they actually do this every day? What are their work hours like? What's their relationship status? What's their personality type? What specific goals have they set for this year, this month, this week, etc.? There's nothing wrong with routine videos until you hold your routines up to theirs and start looking at differences like they're a problem. My morning routine works really well for me, but it could be actively problematic or unhealthy for someone else. That's not to say that you should stop consuming content you find valuable or helpful. I'm really hoping this video is one of those for you. And I totally get how it can be inspiring or motivating to watch videos like that. But if you find yourself watching someone else's life, wondering why yours doesn't look like theirs, you are possibly heading down a very self-destructive path that is not going to help you actually build routines in your life. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, everyday steps of actually building healthy routines, we need to figure out what our goal is. What does success look like to you? A good way to think about this would be to ask yourself how you want to feel at the end of your daily routines. So for example, for me, at the end of my morning routine, I want to feel energized, excited, and grounded. I am the most productive, the most successful, and the best version of myself when I start my day feeling energized, excited, and grounded. I've chosen these words very specifically because they describe the exact feelings and results that I want from those routines. Granted, those things probably sound good to everyone, but there are a lot of other words that might resonate with you more. You might want to feel productive or accomplished in the morning. Maybe you want to start your day with clarity, or maybe you want to end your day feeling accomplished and productive. Whatever it is for you, this is something that you need to establish before you can determine what your routines should even look like. Create a list. I think it's so important to actually sit down and write out a list of all the things that you want to include in your routines. I've talked about this before, but at the start of the year, I made a Notion checklist of everything that I wanted to include in my morning routine. Added in all the steps I wanted to check off. I actually made a huge mistake when I was setting this up, which I'm going to talk about in my next point. But there is seriously so much power in writing things down. A, this gives you so much clarity on what's actually important to you. B, it can help you be realistic in what you're planning. If you start writing and realize that you have 40 things down on your list, you're probably going to realize you need to take some things off. Seeing it all laid out gives you, or at least gives me, a really clear picture of the rhythms that I'm trying to establish. And see, writing down your goals is massively beneficial. You are 42% more likely to accomplish your goals just by writing them down. If you're not sure what to put on your list, start by writing down habits that you already have or things that you know have to get done. So like getting out of bed, brushing your teeth. After that, if you still want to beef it up a little bit, this is a spot where those routine videos can be really helpful. Pinterest is also a great place to look for this. There's so much inspiration as long as you can take it in with the understanding that these routines were optimized for somebody else. Those videos are there as a resource for you to draw from, not to put yourself into. Trying to insert yourself into what works for someone else is not going to work. But before you click on either of those, please listen to this next point, because I'm going to tell you something that I have never heard anyone say in a routine video. I think this is the most important part of this entire video, and honestly, the whole process of building routines that you're actually going to stick with. The bare minimum is your best friend. Hear me out on this. Regardless of how motivated you feel right now, there are going to be days when you wake up and you've overslept, or your bed is really comfortable, or you are just not in the mood to get up and get at it. The biggest mistake that I have made in the process of building new routines is not planning for these days. I have consistently convinced myself for years that the problem is that I just haven't figured out the right routine. I need something that's gonna motivate me more or scare me into compliance. But the truth is, it doesn't matter what your routine is. There are gonna be days where you don't wanna do it. The key to building routines you're actually going to stick to is establishing what has to get done. When I started my new morning routine in January, I gave myself a list of about 13 things that I wanted to get done every day and called that a bare minimum. Please don't do this. 1 week into 2023, I got hit with the most intense depressive episode I have ever had. And the idea of getting up immediately with my alarm, going to the gym, cooking breakfast, reading my morning devotional, making my bed, showering, doing my skincare, the list goes on. It wasn't motivating. It was overwhelming, but I hadn't given myself an alternative. What I've learned from this, and what I highly recommend you do, is something much less glamorous than most TikTok routine videos or Pinterest carousels. As you're going through this process of building routines that you really want to stick to, create a bare minimum version for the days that you don't have it in you to go through all the motions. Complete all the steps, follow through on all of it. My bare minimum morning routine is literally get out of bed, make coffee, eat breakfast, brush my teeth. That's it. Because I know myself. And I know that I have days where sometimes that is all I have in me to do at 8 a.m. Especially if you are someone who is goal-oriented and accomplishment-driven. I have found this to be so good for my mental health. No matter what, as long as I've gotten out of bed, I've eaten something, I've made coffee, which I'm always very motivated to do, and I've brushed my teeth, I've completed a version of my morning routine that I'm happy with. Not only have I maintained that consistency, but that gives me a little dopamine hit that often boosts my mood quite a bit. I'm not encouraging you to live by and operate out of the bare minimum most of the time. But this step is about being realistic and consistent and giving yourself grace. All right, next up, if you want to build routines that you know you're going to stick to, one of the best ways to set yourself up for success is to make it fun. I feel very strongly that motivation is not a good motivator. By that, I just mean it's not reliable, it's not constant, it's not something that you can control. And if your ability to follow through on something is based on whether or not you feel like it, you're probably gonna let yourself down a lot. I think sometimes we glamorize suffering a little bit in terms of growth, and we talk about, no pain, no gain, that whole thing. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely a lot of growth and development that's very uncomfortable, and that's a necessary step. But also, if you can make challenges fun, do it. Romanticize the crap out of those little moments. One thing I've recently started doing is lighting candles in the bathroom while I'm getting ready for the day. It feels so bougie and extra, but honestly, it makes the experience so fun. This is obviously a really personal step, but I highly encourage you to brainstorm ways to make the routines that you're building something you actively look forward to. Whether that's giving yourself a reward at the end or just inserting little moments along the way that you just enjoy doing. Try different things. I think in a lot of life, but especially when we're talking about building routines, a lot of us end up doing things just because it's kind of what we've always seen or what we just assume is the right way to do things. Whether it's that's what was modeled for you growing up, that's what you've seen on YouTube or anything else. Your routines don't have to fit in a box or a model. They just have to work for you. One of my favorite examples of this is my friend slash coach, Sarah, who is just an absolute boss. And she talks a lot about how for a long time, she really felt like she needed to have this, however many step morning routine. She needed to get right up and make her bed and do all of the things first thing in the morning. And honestly, that did not work for her at all. That did not set her up for success. It didn't make her feel good. It just left her feeling stressed out. So now her morning routine is not to have a routine. Get up. I think her current morning routine is like sleep in, get up, eat breakfast, or something like that. And I just love that because it's such a good example of having this image in your mind of this is what, the CEOs do or the successful YouTubers or whatever it is. And if that doesn't fit you, it doesn't fit you. It's so easy to end up working against yourself. The next step to building routines that you will actually stick to is to not all or nothing it. This definitely ties back into the whole bare minimum thing, but I think particularly when you're working on a goal that emphasizes consistency, it's so easy to get discouraged when things don't go according to plan. How many people are on target with their New Year's goals for 3 days and then miss one and give up entirely? If it has to be perfect or even good in order for you to keep going, you probably won't keep going. Your goals don't need to be all in or all out. You can just keep showing up however you're showing up. If you miss a day, come back tomorrow. You don't need to prove anything to anyone else. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. And I think the last point that I want to include in this video is to just check your motivation. And again, this isn't going to apply to everyone, but I think this isn't going to apply to everyone. I've definitely been guilty of trying to build certain routines because I felt like it's what I was supposed to do, and not because they were actually things I wanted to add into my life. Not only is that not healthy, it's not gonna work. And in my case, it definitely left me feeling crappy and miserable. Really just hope that this video can help you avoid some of the things I've had to learn the hard way. I really appreciate you guys being here. I really hope this video was helpful. If it was, definitely leave a comment and let me know. It is the best way to support my channel and means the absolute world to me. I also realized that I have never mentioned this on YouTube, but I would love it if you guys would hit the notification bell to be notified as soon as my videos go live. It's super helpful when you guys engage with my videos, especially in those first couple days of them being live, and it means the world to me. So that would be really fun if you would do that for me. I hope you have a good day because today is a good day to have a good day, and that's it.